Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching first part of What If Naruto Became a Hollow God and Came Back from Death for Hinata. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
A legend was known only to a select few Vasto Lord, and told to even fewer of them, deep within the dark abyss of Hueco Mundo. Before Aizen's visit to Las Noches, it was widely known that the Hollow King ruled over all of Hueco Mundo, long before the rogue Shinigami usurped him. Despite being a Shinigami, Aizen had easily taken control of Las Noches and Hueco Mundo for the most part by being the strongest entity among the Hollows. Though he was technically a rogue Shinigami, he was only transforming the most powerful Hollows into Arrancar to serve in his army. The most powerful Arrancar were formed into Espada, which were considered the Arrancar's elite, and Aizen's generals in his war with Soul Society. But Aizen is not the legend of which the Vasto Lords speak in the Hueco Mundo darkness. No. Among them is the legend of the Hollow God. A tortured and lost soul with such great power that even the Shinigami King was said to be hesitant to fight this creature. Few had seen the rumored god of the Hollows, whose description changed with each telling of the legend until there was no sense of truth or whether the legends were even true. Aizen had overheard the former Hollow King mention it in passing and wondered if the Royal Hollow had actually met the rumored god himself. It didn't matter to Aizen. He didn't ask his Espada's second strongest if it was true because such information was irrelevant to him or his plans for the world of the living and Soul Society in general. He was almost there, and the one item in Aizen's possession was inside his own body, making him the ideal being. Making him a true god. His victory over his former Soul Society comrades was almost upon him. Half of the captains, as well as their vice-captains, were trapped in Soul Society. The most serious threat to his plans, substitute Shinigami and Vizard Kurosaki Ichigo, was fighting Ulquiorra right now in order to reclaim Orihime. Most of his Espada were killed in battle, but it didn't matter to him because Aizen could easily replace those who died if they weren't already dying. Among his Espada, only Ulquiorra, Stark, and Haribel with her injured Fracione remained. Jin remained by his side as Tucson was killed in battle after exceeding his own limits. Even with his numbers depleted, Aizen was still fresh and ready to take down the Shinigami in front of him with ease. The only threat at the moment was Captain General Yamamoto, but Aizen was confident that his abilities would defeat the oldest and most powerful of his adversaries. Fools. They have no idea I'm the winner of this war. They fight me so hard that they don't realize it's all part of my plan. Even if they defeat all of my Espada, I can kill them and achieve total victory, Aizen reasoned, his smirking face displaying his usual calm yet slightly arrogant expression. Aizen frowned as he felt a slight twinge of pain in his chest and frowned curiously. Why did he feel this way? Was this remorse? Why would he feel it in the first place? It didn't make any sense. Aizen decides to ignore it for the time being, watching his enemies fall one by one, and even cutting down Haribel because she dared to question him about not caring about her pathetic subordinates. She was alive, if only for a short time, and the same could be said of the woman's Fracione. And then, just as he was about to win, it happened. Fake Karakura Town was consumed by a massive wave of spiritual pressure unlike anything he, the Espada, or the Shinigami around him had experienced. This spiritual pressure was felt not only here, but also in Hueco Mundo, with the source of it all deep in the latter's dark abyss. Whatever this being was, it unleashed a massive Garganta to ensure that its power was felt by everyone in these two locations, and it brought everyone to a halt. The pain in Aizen's chest increased with each passing moment, as did the sudden sense of dread he felt when he felt the H-Goku within him pulse in synchrony with the pain. Awaken! Yelled a deep voice from within the darkness, and everyone on both sides froze in fear as they saw the pair of eyes behind the massive Garganta. By the gods above! Exclaimed Toshiro as he noticed the eyes of this incredibly powerful entity staring at them, and looked over at Aizen, who looked surprised. The creature's eyes scrutinized them one by one, analyzing each figure, and then narrowed at the sight of Aizen. Though the eyes themselves were not those of a typical hollow, whether he was Manos Grande, a Vasto Lord, or one of Aizen's Arankar. The eyes were a mix of colors, one ocean blue and the other a fiery crimson red, but they both glowed with unimaginable power. Aizen. It's been a long time, the dark voice said before the form behind it emerged from the Garganta, leaving everyone wishing they weren't suffocating under such power to back away. For from the Garganta emerged a massive hollow the likes of which none of them had ever seen before. What is the shape of the hollow? It was a fox. With 9 swishing tails and a hollow hole in its chest. You know him, Aizen? Jin inquired, noting that his face had lost its usual smile. Yes, I met him once, briefly. This creature before you is none other than the Hollow God! Exclaimed Aizen, both Shinigami and Hollow stiffening at the news. Yes, we met briefly, but you are not the first Shinigami to visit me in my lair, Aizen, so don't get too carried away with such knowledge, the Hollow God said, with Aizen frowning because the rogue Shinigami knew this was true. Who else from our ranks came to see you? Yukatake Jaishir inquired. Urahara Kazuki. Your former 12th Division captain, the Hollow God replied, many eyes widening because no one knew that. Impossible! Exclaimed Toshiro, as many others did as well. Not really. He actually came to my lair by accident long before becoming a captain among your ranks. I could have killed the idiot then and there for entering my domain, but I was curious and was rewarded with a man with great mental potential just like myself. Kazuki knew how strong I was without my need to consume his form with my power and instantly apologized for trespassing. Wait. How did you help him? The only thing Kazuki could have done to turn hollows into Arankar and Shinigami into Vizards is the H-Goku! Exclaimed Jaishir, as the realization dawned on everyone. Yes. The material within the cube is not some rare unknown element, as Kazuki first reported, but rather a piece of my very essence. I told him that using it would cause anyone exposed to its power to change and go beyond their normal limitations, resulting in the Vizards that sprung up and then the Arankar later on when Aizen discovered me to have his own version of what you call the H-Goku. Though I only did it for Aizen because I felt. Wait. Aizen made his own H-Goku? Why would he go through all the trouble to do that? Kairaku Shunsui asked, perplexed as to why Aizen sought out Kazuki's when he already had his own. Because Aizen knew, just like Kazuki, that each of the H-Goku were incomplete, the Hollow God explained, with everyone shocked except for himself and Aizen. Incomplete? But what does that mean? Toshiro asked, the Hollow God nodding. Aizen needed Kazuki's to make it a complete object, and he knew that combining the two would make the item whole and more powerful. Kazuki knew this too, but he also knew not to seek me out again, and risk violating the agreement in keeping my location a secret. Aizen only kept it because he knew his power is nothing compared to mine. Said the Hollow God, with Aizen frowning. Correction. My power was nothing in comparison to yours, but now I have the power to kill a god, you! Exclaimed Aizen as he reached for his Zanpakuto. Only to be brought to a halt when the Hollow God laughed at him before becoming deadly serious. Prideful fool! You have no idea the extent of my power. I wield more in my one paw alone than you do in your entire body. Exclaimed the Hollow God, with Aizen furious at the Hollow God. Let's put that theory to the test, shall we? Challenged Aizen, as he began to summon his own and the H-Goku's power. before he collapsed to his knees in excruciating pain. After all this time, you still don't understand the power I gave you. Just because a piece of my essence is inside your body doesn't make it yours to command. The power you were given was yours to command because I allowed it to happen. That essence isn't yours, Aizen. It's not Kazuki's either. It's mine. Stated the Hollow God, and Aizen was now screaming in pain while clutching his chest where the H-Goku was. What are you doing to him? Jaishir exclaimed as Aizen fell to his knees and a circular stain of red was visible on the man's white clothing. I thought it would be obvious at this point. I'm reclaiming what is mine, replied the Hollow God before a sickening squelch was heard and the blood-splattered box began floating into the air towards its true master, who entered the deity without resistance. Look at those eyes. Even after all these years, I recall those eyes from before today. But it can't possibly be him. It can't be. Yamamoto thought as a cold chill ran up his spine, and his fear grew as the giant hollow fox began to pulse in front of everyone. At that moment, the Hollow God let loose a roar that shook fake Karakura Town to its core, the pillars cracking but still holding and not exposing the true one to this danger. While Aizen was stuck in place against his own body's command, his power swirled around him like a maelstrom, shattering buildings and sending several Shinigami and the Espada flying back. Aizen was forced to stare at the terrifying power in front of him, as the implication of how far the gap in power was between them was clear to the rogue Shinigami, and the already massive gap in power was growing with each passing second. The massive hollow in Fox form shrank as his power grew, and he began to take a more humanized form, with the 9 silvery white tails swishing behind the muscled body in front of Aizen. The only indication the Hollow God, now an Arrancar, was a hollow. The once massive hollow fox, like the other Arrancar and Espada, wore white pants and a white shirt that seemed a little small for his upper torso. Spiky blonde hair with a visible red line from the front to the back of his mane of hair revealed its face. This Hollow God's face was covered in white hollow bones that looked like whisker marks on his tanned skin, and he had white fox ears poking out instead of human ears. His exposed upper torso was covered in tribal tattoos, as were his arms and clawed hands. It's not possible. I'm supposed to be the god of the new world. Me. Not you. Me. Aizen finally spoke up, his confident and calm demeanor ironically shattered by the Hollow God walking towards the rogue Shinigami and drawing his Zanpakuto. You could never be a god of any purported new world, Aizen. You are nothing, and you will die here as nothing. Exclaimed the Hollow God as he prepared his Zanpakuto to strike down the rogue Shinigami. Clang. And would have if it hadn't been for the unexpected intervention of Shinigami Captain General. Old Man Yama. Exclaimed Shunsui, seeing the oldest of the Shinigami present now cross swords with the Hollow God himself. It's been a long time. Uzumaki Naruto. Yamamoto exclaimed simply, as the Hollow God narrowed his still mixed eyes at the old man. That it has been Captain General Yamamoto. Too long. At least in this time frame, with things moving much faster here than back home, Naruto replied before easily pushing the Captain General back. You know the Captain General? Exclaimed a stunned Toshiro, torn between defending his leader and killing Aizen. Yes, it was a long time ago. Long before he was Captain General or even a Shinigami of your little organization in Soul Society. They don't know, old man. Should I tell them? Or should you? Naruto asked, seeing Yamamoto narrow his eyes at her. What are you talking about? Inquired Aizen on the ground, clutching his wound and looking at the two, sensing something else he didn't understand. Or should I just call you by your one true name, Sarutobi Hiruzen, that no one else here knows but me since I was a human kid? Raged Naruto. I see. Judging by the hidden rage in your voice and those eyes. You know the truth, Yamamoto said quietly, his gaze narrowed at the Captain General. Yeah. Right before my execution when I was around 12 or 13 years old. My killers felt I should know the truth before I die, and they did it with a smile on their faces while laughter from their mouths filled the air when the sword came down to end my life, Naruto replied, Yamamoto closing his eyes for a second. I'm sorry, Naruto, Yamamoto said, but it did little to calm the rage in Naruto's eyes, only fanning the flames of his rage. You're sorry? How can you be sorry? You had a hand in it. All of it. From the day I was born, you had a hand in everything, and even after your death. Naruto said angrily to Yamamoto. What's he talking about, old man Yama? What happened in the living world to make this guy hate you? Asked Shunsui, who was standing by the captain's side generals with the others. I'm not surprised he'd tell you or anyone else. The truth would only shame him in your eyes and call into question your loyalty to this bastard of a man you love so much. Do you want to tell them? Or should I? Tell them that you condemn to a living hell for holding a beast of incredible power. Tell them that you set plans in motion to make me weak, humbled, and dependent subordinate of the village we both lived in with you, as it's so called. You really did that? Captain Konomura Sajin asked, looking at the Captain General, who remained silent. Old man Yama, Shunsui said, waiting for the old Shinigami to object. It's true, all of it, Yamamoto finally replied, drawing wide eyes from everyone. Aizen, too. I took quite a few beatings that day into the night before my execution. You should have seen me the day of my execution. I was bloody, starved, and in constant pain. Do you know why I was facing an execution? It's actually so stupid it's quite funny, Naruto chuckled bitterly. What was the reason? Asked Sui Feng, who had dashed over to their location clutching her arm. Hold that thought for a fraction of a second, Naruto said before pausing for a fraction of a second before sheathing his blade. Only for Aizen to collapse dead, his head severed from his body. He's quick. I didn't even notice him moving. Sui Feng and her comrades were thinking the same thing. Now where were we? Oh yes. Why was I executed? Simple. I succeeded in my mission given to me and my group to bring back a rogue shinobi named Uchiha Sasuke. The boy was the same age as me, but had a special bloodline, and was considered by everyone to be the village's last loyal Uchiha, with everyone spoiling him rotten. Do you know that he left our village to join another traitor? The old man's former student, in fact. What? You were killed for following orders and completing your mission? Sui Feng was perplexed because no one in their right mind would be punished for completing a mission assigned by her as captain of the 2nd Division. Yes, my dear, but I believe they would have done it even if I had failed. They were looking for an excuse to kill me within the laws of the village, and when I returned with the Uchiha, stained in my own blood after already suffering from the 2 assassination techniques taught to my prisoner that he used when fighting. They had finally achieved the means to put me down. All because this old fool standing right here before me made it a law, which stat. Even Stark found it revolting, as did Haribel as she and her Fracione struggled to survive. And you were only 12 years old when this happened? Jashiro asked, and Naruto nodded. Yes, I was. But that's not even the worst part. Do you know what happened to the Uchiha I brought back? He wasn't punished. He wasn't even disciplined in the least for his treachery against our village. He was fully pardoned and was the one assigned. To kill me in my public execution, Naruto said, as many Shinigami looked horrified. Apart from the Captain General. You knew, didn't you, Yamamoto? Shunsui asked, as the old man remained silent, and Naruto smirked at the Captain General. Of course the old man knew. He was there that day. One of his tasks as a Shinigami was to take me to Soul Society to eventually be with my parents, but as you can see, he failed on purpose. Snarled Naruto. You were tainted with the Kyuubi's power. You would have discovered the truth about what I had done and turned on Soul Society in a vengeful rage. You would have become worse than Aizen and then lashed out at the world of the living, which was our former home. I couldn't allow your soul to live and turn into a rogue Shinigami one day like Aizen, Yamamoto countered, Naruto scowling. So you tried to kill me and lie to my parents that a hollow stole my soul before your arrival. No one was going to dispute it because you were the only assigned Shinigami in that area to collect departed souls. I still remember that day vividly. I was surprised and happy to see you. I can't believe I literally ran to my second death and it was only instinct alone that I dodged your sword strike. And into the abomination I knew you'd become. Yamamoto said solemnly, his grip on his Zanpakuto tightening. I became what I am because of your hand, old man. Yours, our village, and the arrogant fools you allowed to abuse me for their own amusement, not that they will enjoy things for much longer, Naruto said with a cruel grin on his face. What do you mean? Yamamoto asked, as Naruto smiled at him. What do you think I mean? Said Naruto, his grin never leaving his face. I won't let you destroy Konoha. Exclaimed Yamamoto before slicing Naruto in half, but the Arrancar held firm, blocking the strike with his own blade and not moving at all. I expected nothing less from you, old man, just like you to act like a hypocrite. Exclaimed Naruto before kicking the man away and igniting the captain power. Generals. Reduce all creation to ash, Raijin Jaka. Exclaimed Yamamoto, who knew the power of that sword and could easily kill them all. The strange thing is that nothing happened. Surprised? Simply stated Naruto, while Yamamoto was astounded that his sword would not obey him. What did you do, Raijin Jaka? Yamamoto asked, with Naruto smirking at him. Nothing. I did nothing. Your Zanpakuto is not obeying of its own volition. It knows who I am. It knows of your past connection to me. It knows you are no longer worthy of its power. I'm surprised you didn't realize that sooner, old man. After all, the overall spirit of Raijin Jaka is the combined souls of your sensei and his brother when you sealed them away fighting Orochimaru. It doesn't matter. I'll see you destroyed once and for all. Exclaimed Yamamoto before charging forward and colliding blades with the Hollow God. Not today, Naruto replied before disappearing from the old man's sight, followed by the old Shinigami. They're both moving so fast, I can't keep up, Sui Feng said, as she heard blades clashing all around her, and she could tell the others were as well. Man, this is a pain in the ass, Stark said as he walked over to them after descending to the ground. I take it you're not going to fight us anymore? Shunsui inquired, seeing the Espada nod his head and simply observe the battle above him. I never wanted to fight you guys. Aizen made me. He did the same with the others. In fact, most of us aren't into the whole take over the world thing Aizen planned, and just went along with it because we risked being slain by his hands. Well, most of us were against it anyway, stated Stark, despite the fact that there were a few Arrancar and Espada who were the exception to the rule of do or. Well, that's a relief. What do you plan to do now? Jashiro asked, looking up at the fight above. Well, I guess it's up to my new boss, Stark said before a sword pierced flesh and a body fell to the ground bleeding. It was the Captain General, and he was missing an arm that had fallen to the ground not far away. Any last words before you die, hypocrite? Naruto asked as he descended to the ground, his sword poised to strike. You will pay for this, Naruto. The Shinigami King or the other captains will never let you get away with it, Yamamoto declared, holding his bloody stump for a shoulder. Naruto simply stated, doubtful, before slicing the man's head clean off his shoulders and sheathing his weapon. So. Would you be interested in a truce by any chance? Shunsui asked nervously, knowing they didn't stand a chance against the Hollow God anytime soon and didn't want to risk it right now. Calm down, Captain of Soul Society. I was never your enemy. Only the select few within your ranks, like Aizen and the Captain General, deserve to be struck down by me, Naruto said before looking at Sui Feng's stump for an arm and surprisingly grabbing it. Hey! Exclaimed Sui Feng before freezing in front of Naruto's gaze. Be quiet, said Naruto before focusing his power on her arm and beginning the painful process of regenerating the woman's arm, which would only last a moment. It still hurt like hell, and the captain of the 2nd Division screamed in agony. The captains and Espada who were watching were surprised that Naruto could do such a thing to someone who was not of Hollow descent. When it was over, Sui Feng looked at her arm in disbelief, as it appeared as if it had never been destroyed from her encounter with the former Hollow King of Hueco Mundo, and then at Naruto. Of course, the Hollow God was preoccupied with the fallen blonde Espada Aizen had cut down, as well as the 3 members of her Fracion who lay burned on the ground. The Hollow God of Hueco Mundo shot what appeared to be red lighting from his fingertips at the 4 fallen forms, and they gradually began to heal. I'm healed, exclaimed Mila Rose, surprised to see the others in the same condition. Me too, Apache exclaimed as Sung Sun stood up, and the 3 of them saw Harabel rise from the ground. You saved me, why? Harabel wondered, recalling how she had been spared once before when Aizen intervened, only to be thrown away. I value loyalty, Harabel. I will tell you what my hypocrite for a teacher once told me a long time ago when I was still human. Those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. Follow me, Tia Harabel, and I promise you that I will never betray your trust, Naruto said as he extended his hand to her, and she took it while looking him in the eyes. I'm yours to command. Hollow-sama, Harabel said quietly, but her words carried a lot of weight, and Naruto saw her Fracion kneel before him to show they were on the same side as the Espada. Call me Naruto, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto to be exact. Stark. We're leaving for home, so get your $1 over here, said Naruto before Stark appeared in front of him, with Lillinet beside him. Our comrades are still in Las Noches. Could you allow them to return to us unharmed? Toshiro asked, seeing Naruto look at him for a moment before nodding. Of course, Naruto said before entering the Garganta with his Espada and Fracion. Las Noches in the present. Ulquiorra was surprised Ichigo could hold out against him for so long, especially in his unsealed form. Not long ago, the substitute Shinigami couldn't handle the 4th-ranked Espada and was even on good terms with Grimmjow. But now the boy was holding his own better than Ulquiorra had expected from the last time he saw the man, and Ulquiorra wondered what had caused this human to fight like this. His thoughts were interrupted when the Hollow God entered the fray, and all fighting within Las Noches came to a halt. Ulquiorra was one of the few Vasto Lord in Hueco Mundo who had the honor of meeting the Hollow God, but she had never told anyone in honor of meeting the one true ruler of Hueco Mundo, and she had made sure that not even Aizen knew about it. Ulquiorra served the rogue Shinigami after Aizen took over Las Noches and began to build his army of Arrancar because the man was the strongest of everyone within Las Noches. The Vasto Lord's true loyalty, however, was not to Aizen, as everyone assumed, but to the Hollow God himself, and he awaited the day when the deity would make his presence known. I am Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. I am the Hollow God. Your rightful lord and master has returned to rule. Yelled Naruto for all of Las Noches to hear, with the Shinigami from Soul Society freezing in fear. Did he just say, Hollow God? Ichigo wondered, wondering what nightmare he had just walked into. Yes, he did. You can take the woman now, Ulquiorra said before returning to his normal form, much to Ichigo's surprise. What? Just like that? But Aizen commanded you to guard Las Noches and keep Orihime away from me, a perplexed Ichigo asked as Ulquiorra walked past the shocked woman who was once his prisoner. Correct. But since Aizen is no longer alive, I can only conclude the Hollow God has finally killed him, and he wishes to take over Las Noches for himself, as it is his right as the Hollow God. I can also conclude he would want the woman here to be a prisoner of this place any longer because there is nothing to be gained from such a course of action, Ulquiorra said, with Ichigo watching him closely. You are correct, Ulquiorra, Naruto said as he appeared in front of them with his group and looked at the substitute Shinigami for himself. Do you mean the Hollow God? His power is, well, unbelievable. It makes Aizen seem pitiful. It makes everyone appear pitiful. Ichigo thought as Naruto walked over to him and locked his gaze on him. I know you can hear me, Hollow Ichigo, Naruto said, sensing the hollow side of Ichigo fidgeting inside the boy. Alright, alright. Enough with the piercing stare. No taking over the Gaki's body unless it's an emergency, and even then I relinquish control when the fighting is done, said Hollow Ichigo, smirking as Naruto took a step back. You just made my hollow side submit. Exclaimed Ichigo, as Naruto smirked at him. I sensed he was going to cause you problems in the future, so I decided to put a stop to it, Naruto explained as if it were natural. Thanks. I think, Ichigo said, smirking at Naruto. No problem. Just protect those you care about, and ask the girl here with the big rack out on a date. She really wants you right now, Naruto chuckled as Ichigo and Orihime blushed. Hey! Exclaimed Ichigo, as Naruto's chuckle turned into a laugh. What? It's true. Exclaimed Naruto before turning serious and exiting through Sonito. What happened? Asked Ichigo while looking at the Espada since he thought they might know. Naruto-sama is saving the Exekias from annihilation by your friends. There is still some fighting within Las Noches, Harabel said, sensing what her fellow Espada were sensing. Those guys? Why? Ichigo asked, as Harabel narrowed her eyes at him. Because he wishes it, and that should be enough, Harabel replied, her voice cold. Naruto reappeared moments later, with all the other Shinigami wrapped in strange-looking chains made of spirit energy, and set them down. Kenpachi wanted to fight him despite not being fully recovered from his fight with Yami, but Naruto was gone a split second later to take care of the Exekias and ensure their survival. So we won? Kenpachi asked as Unohana handed the man an eye patch to keep the others from suffocating on his power. It appears we have won, though I suspect it was only due to the Hollow God intervening on our behalf, Unohana said before Naruto appeared seconds later via Sonito after healing his subordinate's injuries at the hands of the Soul Reapers. Ichimaru Jin was also seen bound in spirit energy like chains coming out of Naruto's body, leading many to wonder what the Hollow God would do with the treacherous Shinigami. Will the Hollow God give Jin to Soul Society? Will he keep the man around to serve him in the same way he did Aizen? You didn't think I forgot about this one, did you? Asked Naruto, his smile gone as he looked at the group in front of him. Do you think showing mercy would be possible right now? Jin asked, as Kenpachi grinned and drew his blade. It depends on your definition of mercy, Kenpachi replied as Naruto raised his hand to keep the captain's hand still. Easy, my friend. Jin-san, would you please tell them what you told me about your Aizen plan? Said Naruto, as Jin noticed everyone staring at him. I had planned to kill Aizen since I was a child after the first time I saw him because I believed he stole something from Rangaku, but to do that, I would need to wait, and strike when he least expected it by using the poisonous nature of my Zanpakuto's Bankai. I planned to take the H-Goku from him, but given the nature behind it, I'm going to go out on a limb, and say such a thing ISN. And you plan to transform yourself into some god-like figure like Aizen did? Ichigo asked, Jin shaking his head. I have no grander aspirations. I had no intention of using the item. I intended to give it to you in exchange for clemency, Ichigo scoffed at Jin's response. You could have done it sooner, Ichigo charged. Hardly. Tusen would have picked up on it and informed Aizen before I got within striking distance. Until I touched the man's sword in its sealed state with my own hands, the hypnotic powers of Aizen's own Zanpakuto would have prevented me from making the killing stroke. In short, I needed to be extremely close to Aizen, and the only way to do so was for him to have complete trust in me. Ichigo narrowed his eyes at Jin's response. Kurosaki Ichigo has a valid point. Aizen was too powerful for any of us to attack from afar or even up close without succumbing to the power of his Zanpakuto. The only way to successfully attack him had to come from someone he would never suspect would do it, Hana said, with Ichigo slightly growling at the pale-skinned man. It still bothers me. It's far too convenient. We don't even have proof that what he's saying is true. Ichigo exclaimed, and many people nodded in agreement. He is correct. I propose that we gut the jerk and see what he says. Kenpachi exclaimed as he took a swing at Jin, but the sword was blocked by the tip of Naruto's index finger, and the hollow god's eyes glazed over for a moment, as if he was processing something. Zanpakuto, you poor thing. He has been ignoring you for that long. While Kenpachi's eyes widened, Naruto whispered to himself. Can you communicate using Kenny's sword? Inquired Yachiru, who was perched on her captain's shoulder. To some extent. This Zanpakuto has been in a lot of pain for a long time and hasn't been heard in the same time. Its name was not spoken. You've only recently decided to try to learn his name. You've made significant progress, but his name, Zaraki Kenpachi, is still out of reach, Naruto said, as Kenpachi looked shocked. Until now, I've relied solely on my own strength. I've never had a reason to rely on someone else's strength, said Kenpachi as he applied more pressure to Naruto, but it had no effect on the hollow god, and it showed. You have every right to be proud of that fact, Kenpachi, Naruto said, but you have yet to achieve true strength, and its connection to your Zanpakuto. Kenpachi raised an eyebrow at him. How so? Kenpachi inquired. You must figure it out on your own. I'll give you a hint, though, because you're so close. It's about Yachiru and how important she is to you, Naruto replied while easily deflecting the Zanpakuto away from his body. True fortitude? In relation to me? How? Yachiru was stunned as he looked at Kenpachi, who looked at her, and then they both looked at him with question marks above their heads. You, indeed. Don't worry, Yachiru. He'll figure it out in time, and when you learn his name, Zaraki Kenpachi, you'll finally be able to go beyond your limits. You will finally understand what true strength is in this world, Naruto responded calmly, while Kenpachi appeared to be deep in thought about his words. We still need to figure out what we're going to do about him, Renji said, his gaze narrowed at the former Shinigami. I'll take him, Naruto said, as everyone stared in disbelief at the hollow god. Even the Espada were taken aback. What? Why? Rukia inquired, seeing Jin relax a little and clearly surprised by this sudden change of events. Because he reminds me of someone I know back home. She reminded me of myself. She got a bad deal in life because of something she didn't do. Jin is in a similar situation right now and will not be welcomed back into Soul Society. Am I correct? The group in front of Naruto looked at each other, knowing the answer right away. Jin was conspiring with Aizen from the beginning of all of this, so it stands to reason that he would be punished immediately and without mercy. Even if the statement about him betraying Aizen is true, it will not absolve him of his crimes against Soul Society. Hana spoke up because she had been around the longest of the Shinigami in the room. And there are quite a few crimes because I had a hand in the Vizards being created with Aizen's and Tusen's help, Jin said, and Naruto nodded, knowing Aizen's activities. All the more reason for you to stay in Las Noches, Naruto replied, with many people looking skeptical. But there's no guarantee Jin won't betray you and try to take over Las Noches one day? Ichigo asked, Jin now free of the spirit chains Naruto had wrapped around him. Because the day Ichimaru jinned is that is the day he dies at the hands of an Espada. Is this clear? Naruto replied with the Espada knowing what he was referring to, and Jin understood as well. If Jin managed to betray and kill the Hollow God, one of the Espada here was ordered to slay him. For the record, I'd much rather serve you than Aizen, Jin replied, while Naruto simply looked at him for a moment to see if he was sucking up to him. Jin's honesty was probably a good thing, because the former Shinigami suspected the man didn't like people who lied to gain favor. This Garganta will transport you to your friends in the fake Karakura town. You're on your own from then on, and I don't expect you to return anytime soon. Naruto spoke up because he had his own plans for Las Noches and the Arrancar who lived within its walls. No. Ichigo is unable to leave. Nell cried as she jumped onto Ichigo and began crying. Nell. You are aware that I must depart. It will not last forever, Ichigo said this as the girl rubbed tears and snot all over his clothes. Really? Nell asked, and Ichigo nodded. Really, Ichigo replied, patting the girl on the head. Take her with you, Naruto said, as Ichigo looked at him, surprised. Seriously? But isn't that a violation of the rules? With Naruto smirking at him, Ichigo inquired. Not at all. Not from my perspective, at least. Besides, I'm sure the former Vizard captains and vice captains will be returning to Soul Society after today. I don't see why you shouldn't accept Nell into your family, or even Soul Society, Naruto said before the girls' Frazione appeared in their usual stupid fashion with their usual stupid antics. If I didn't know any better, I'd think the Hollow God gave us Nell to make sure these idiots would follow and drive everyone insane. Thought Yuri, who was constantly harassed by the two idiots and a being called Ichigo. He was so tempted right now to shoot them with an arrow. Before you leave, I need to heal Nell so she can return to her full adulthood. Naruto said this as he placed the tip of his fingers on Nell's cracked hollow mask, undoing the damage done so many years ago by the now dead 5th-ranked Espada who shall not be named because he irritated Naruto to no end. Within seconds, Nell the Arrancar child transformed into Nelliel II Odelschwank, formerly ranked 3rd among the Espada. Harabelle could tell from the green-haired girl's back that she was her predecessor all those years ago. Ichigo! Exclaimed Nelliel joyfully as she quickly glomped the shocked male and pushed his head into her ample bosom, causing various reactions among the Shinigami watching the scene. The guys blushed, with some muttering, "Lucky bastard." The women glared at Nelliel, and some smacked the men on the head. Orihime blushed because she had fantasized about doing that to Ichigo in one of her fantasies with the orange-haired boy. Ulquiorra. Well, he just raised an eyebrow at the scene because he didn't understand Neliel's affection action and the reaction it caused in Ichigo waving his arms around as if she was suffocating him. Emotional beings were extremely complex. "Follow me to where the rest of your group is waiting," Naruto said as he walked through the Garganta with the Shinigami, a substitute Shinigami, a Quincy, 2 humans, 1 Arrancar, and her Fracione. Artificial Karakura Town. "Hey! Come on over here." Shunsui waved to the group approaching them. "Everything is fine with you.
Are there any casualties?"
Inquired Ichigo, as several captains exchanged glances. "The Captain General is no longer alive. The Hollow God slew him." Finally, Toshiro responded before explaining what had happened while Ichigo and the others looked at Naruto. "Ichigo, you should thank me." He had little affection for wizards and saw them only as tools to be used before dispatching them. "Yamamoto only wanted you and others like you to live until this was all over. Following that, the 2nd Division Captain here or her replacement would be given orders to kill the remaining wizards who had survived this conflict," Naruto explained before snapping his fingers in a small hole open to reveal the order signed by the Captain General but missing the date. He even signed it. "Anywhere I see his signature, I recognize it," Sajin expressed his sorrow in his voice. "Well, that stinks," Hiriko Shinji said as he descended to the ground with the other wizards in his group and gave a humble bow to the Hollow God before them. "But don't worry. It is not dated, so the order cannot be made valid until the signature, seal, and order date are all present," Naruto explained before destroying it with a flick of his wrist. "So, in that case, I say we welcome our former captains and vice-captains back to Soul Society. With all of the gaps in the various ranks caused by the war, it is only natural and fair that they be allowed to return," Shunsui expressed his optimism. "Do whatever you want. Just leave me and the people in Las Noches alone, please," said Naruto before boarding the Garganta that had brought him in the group here. "Wait, Naruto!" exclaimed Jashiro, and Naruto came to a halt. "What?" Naruto asked, turning his head to face the long-haired captain. "What will you do now that you're ruling Las Noches?" Jashiro asked, with Naruto smirking at him. "Simple. I intend to pack everyone and everything in it before returning to my world, which once scorned me," Naruto responded, the Shinigami in front of him stunned by the news. "What? How do you intend to accomplish this?" Before seeing the 4 pillars used to separate fake Karakura Town from the actual Karakura Town sinking through Garganta holes beneath them, Toshiro asked. "These will be the bridge I need to cross into my world where I was before my death, and from what I've seen of my world since my departure. Hi, it's time it got a kick in the ass to remind the people they're the price of arrogance," said Naruto before entering the Garganta and leaving the victorious group of heroes to their own devices. Sometime later, Las Noches throne room. Naruto sat on the throne that had once belonged to Aizen. Unlike the arrogant rogue Shinigami, who slouched to the side with his elbow as if bored, Naruto sat on the throne with purpose. A man of action, he was ready to do what needed to be done, and he saw the Arrancar waiting to hear his announcement to them all. All that remained of the Espada under Aizen's command were Coyote Stark, Tia Haribel, and Shifuru Ulquiorra. Jin stood among them because he didn't have anywhere else to go, but the former Shinigami was content with that and thought a fresh start with Naruto would be beneficial. Rangaku would be missed, but Jin hoped that one day Naruto would grant him permission to return to Soul Society and see her again. Arrancar of Las Noches, hear me out. Within these mighty walls, Arrancar of all ranks. From the lone Espada to those with triple digits on their bodies. Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto is my name, and I am the Hollow God. The power that made you who you are today, which Aizen used to transform you, came from my very essence and has now returned to my body to make me whole again. At the same time, I am not whole, and I feel an emptiness that no number of souls devoured can fill. Following Aizen's death at my hands, I mediated a truce between us and the Shinigami of Soul Society. We are now free to carry out a dream of mine that I had long before I gave Aizen the means to make the Hogyoku and use to turn hollows into Arankars. My ambition is to transport us away from Hueco Mundo. My dream is to transform us, all of you as here, from this mundane way of life that Aizen has created for you into something greater. To the dimension I come from among the world of living, where you can look up and see the sky is blue, the grass is green, and all the things Aizen denied you while in Las Noches are now available to you in my world. It is a place where we can accomplish great things. A place where we can be free of the difficulties of living in the dark. My gift to you is out there in the world. My triumph. A place where we can fulfill our destiny. Naruto spoke passionately to the Arankars in front of him and those listening throughout Las Noches. And it certainly inspired. With the exception of the Espada and Jin, the Arankar throughout Las Noches were in a frenzy of cheering. The Arankar had surrendered to the rogue Shinigami shortly after his arrival when entering Hueco Mundo, so their true master wasn't some pretender like Aizen or even the now dead Hollow King himself. They applauded Naruto, called out his name and were worked up into a frenzy similar to what you'd see at a sporting event when the home team scored. Naruto-sama, when will we be able to leave Hueco Mundo for your world of living? Haribel inquired after the frenzy of the crowd subsided. After a few months. I need to repair one of the pillars used to construct fake Karakura town and then modify each of them so that the Garganta can be crossed by everyone in Las Noches. Not to mention that I'm bringing Las Noches with us because my people will need a place to sleep, Haribel nodded in response to Naruto's question. And in the meantime? Stark inquired, raising an eyebrow. Simple. Everyone in Las Noches works out in order to get stronger. Do you hear what I'm saying? Every Arankar will grow stronger, and each of you will assist your fellow comrades in doing so. There will be no desire to usurp the power of those around you. It will not be tolerated by me. You will form strong bonds with your fellow Arankars and treat them like family under my command. Is this clear? Naruto exclaimed with each Arankar, even the Espada, and Jin himself nodded as his commanding voice echoed throughout Las Noches. Yes, Naruto-sama, exclaimed every Arankar in Las Noches, knowing they would go to any length to please the Hollow God. Was he now the Arankar God? 7 months later, Las Noches R&D. The repairing of the pillars Naruto had taken from fake Karakura town took less time than the Hollow God had expected when he had them sent to R&D, but changing them to his specifications did, and it wasn't easy. Urahara Kazuki was every bit the genius Naruto knew him to be when it came to creating these pillars, as evidenced by how each of them was designed to be tamper-proof.
That is, Naruto would have to strip each pillar of its programmed ability all the way down to the basic properties that made them capable of such feats before rewriting the code within them and then installing their new purpose with his own power.
It had taken a lot of work, and it didn't help that Vandenreich, which consisted of a bunch of rogue Quincy knocking on his door, was trying to take over Las Noches, and effectively Hueco Mundo, in order to take over Soul Society because they were still bitter about their massacre 200 years ago. Unfortunately for them, they caught Naruto in a bad mood that day, and he quickly destroyed the opposition personally to emphasize that his power was not to be underestimated. In fact, Naruto suspected that the group only attacked Hueco Mundo because word of Aizen's death had reached them, and that they were unaware of how it occurred. The powers that be in Soul Society, no doubt, thought it was best to say Aizen died at the hands of Shinigami rather than the Hollow God himself. Though every Arankar, Espada, and even the hollows of Hueco Mundo knew otherwise based on his presence before entering fake Karakura town. The group's leader did not take him seriously at first, believing Naruto was not the hollow god that everyone in Hueco Mundo and Las Noches revered when he was in their presence. Naruto made sure he was the first to fall, right in front of the rest of Vandenreich, so they realized how insignificant they were. The others in the group naturally took off in an attempt to flee, but they were stopped in their tracks by the Espada and an army of Arrancar who didn't like having their home invaded. Naturally, the terrified Vandenreich begged for mercy before the hollow god, but Naruto wasn't in the mood and cut them down one by one with his Zanpakuto, his cold eyes telling everyone watching that he wasn't in the mood to show these fools mercy. "You summoned me, Naruto-sama?" Ulquiorra asked as he entered the room where Naruto was completing the final pillar that would transport Las Noches and everyone in it to his dimension among the world of the living. "Ulquiorra, you are correct. I have a special mission for you that you must complete once you enter my world. One that necessitates your extraordinary stealth abilities and extreme discretion." Ulquiorra raised an eyebrow in response to Naruto, indicating his curiosity. "What mission is that, Naruto-sama?" Ulquiorra inquired as Naruto turned from his work to face the Espada. "When we finally settle Las Noches in what was once my mother's homeland of Whirlpool Country, I want you to visit my old shinobi village of Konoha and find out what happened there. Discover what happened to the girl who confessed her love to me before I was executed. Find out what happened to Hyuga Hinata and get back to me as soon as possible." Ulquiorra nodded as Naruto explained the intensity in those mixed-colored eyes. "As you direct, Naruto-sama. And what if someone gets in my way?" With Naruto narrowing his eyes at the Espada, a curious Ulquiorra inquired. "Hurt but do not kill. That is a right I have earned for myself." Ulquiorra bowed in response to Naruto. "Naruto-sama is clear to me. My wish is your command," Ulquiorra said as he walked away. "Ulquiorra, one more thing. While you're out there, I need you to find out how things are going and what the major players are up to. The global status of the Jinchuriki, the Akatsuki organization, and Orochimaru with the Sannin living in Rice Country." Naruto knew Ulquiorra was more than capable of handling this mission. "Yes, Naruto-sama," Ulquiorra said before disappearing via Sonido. "Konoha, soon. My godparents will arrive soon. Soon after, I met my so-called Junin sensei. Soon after, Akatsuki. Orochimaru will arrive soon. My Hinata-chan will arrive soon. Uzumaki, Namikaze Naruto is returning, and he's bringing a few friends with him to mend my broken world," Naruto thought to himself as he moved each pillar around Las Noches via Garganta and stood in the center of Las Noches before sitting down in meditative stance. Naruto summoned a massive amount of spiritual power from within himself and launched 4 long spirit chains in different directions until one chain latched onto each pillar and each pillar began to glow. The entire city of Las Noches shook violently, but Naruto held firm, using his power on the pillars, and pictured where he would need to drop this massive city with the hundreds upon thousands of Arrancar that had swelled his ranks in the months since Aizen's death, with hollows from all over coming to see him to be made Arrancars. Las Noches was its own country. Naruto roared, activating all 4 pillars with the most power they could take from him, and felt the Garganta he opened around Las Noches interact with the pillars. What took minutes to complete felt like hours, and they were long and exhausting hours for Naruto. He was transporting the entire city of Las Noches, as well as every Arrancar within its walls, to his dimension within the world of the living, and preventing everyone from losing body parts, if not their lives. If Naruto had ever seen the film The Wizard of Oz, he would have admired Dorothy in the house she was in when the tornado struck, transporting her to that strange land. "Naruto-sama!" exclaimed Tia Haribel, who was hovering over the downed man and saw him come around from his bout of unconsciousness. "Truly, Tia Haribel, you understand the value of loyalty," thought Naruto as he slowly attempted to rise with the female Espada's assistance, and noticed the other two Espadas were also present. "Are you okay, Naruto-sama?" Ulquiorra asked, and Naruto nodded. "Did we succeed?" Naruto asked, with Stark nodding. Naruto-sama certainly did. "We've arrived in Whirlpool Country," Naruto exhaled a sigh of relief as Stark spoke. If there was one thing Naruto despised, it was failing those who had placed their trust in him. How long had I been gone? How big is Las Noches on the continent? When Naruto looked at Ulquiorra, he wondered. "Naruto-sama, you were out for about 6 hours. We did want to move your body, and Haribel-san has been keeping an eye on you until now. I did the scouting as part of my role in securing Las Noches until you returned, and I estimate that Las Noches has taken up well over 30 to 40% of the landscape." Ulquiorra knew that if the extra land was used correctly, it would allow for many possibilities. "Good. We have plenty of room to grow and improve. Las Noches will be the capital of the Neo Whirlpool. This country is descended from all those of Uzumaki blood, and as an Uzumaki by blood, I hereby re-establish Whirlpool as one of the world's great countries," Naruto declared before standing up and feeling his power had been significantly depleted. It would probably take a day or two for his power to return to normal. "Shall I begin my mission, Naruto-sama?" Ulquiorra asked, knowing that his departure was at Naruto's discretion. "Yes." Ulquiorra, proceed as planned, Naruto nodded as the Espada in front of him exited via Sonido. "Do you need rest, Naruto-sama?" Haribel asked, seeing how tired he was from this incredible feat she could never accomplish alone. "Yes. You will be in charge until I recover, Haribel and Stark. You can sleep unless I need you to defend Las Noches or I summon you." Naruto explained that he didn't need Stark right now and that the man was going to sleep anyway. "Works for me," Stark said before being repeatedly kicked in the buttocks by his enraged counterpart Lilinet, who was yelling at him for being a lazy ass, who needed to do more than sleep all day. "Las Noches is in good hands until you are ready to return to the throne, Naruto-sama," Haribel said, aware that he was putting a lot of trust in him. "I recognize Haribel-san. I'll be sleeping and regaining my strength in my quarters until further notice," said Naruto before disappearing via Sonido to his bedroom, where sleep would embrace him. And his nightmares from the past would return to haunt him.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.